Well, hello there, friends, foes, enemies, people that want to see me gone, and people who are here to support every week. This is not the Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Ellen, Jimmy Corden, Jimmy Oprah, Jimmy Kelly Clarkson show. No, you're watching the right show. Comes to you each and every Wednesday. You're saying, Kvon, it's Thursday. What do you want from me? I got busy. Okay. The point being, we've had just a fantastic week. And this week brings me to a hotel room out of the studio because I'm going to be meeting with Patrick Bet David. Now, you know who he is. You've seen him going viral on all kinds of social media platforms. He wants to start a comedy company. And so Patrick Bet David called a few comedians to meet with him tomorrow. Put us up in a beautiful hotel in Fort Lauderdale. We likes to party. We don't cause trouble. We don't bother nobody. So coming to you from Florida, and ready to make you laugh. Now, today's episode will be no different than any other. We're going to put your comments up on the screen. So if you want to be a part of the show, say something funny, stupid, racist, go for it. Hi. A lot of people saying hi. A lot of people telling us where they're from, small towns. Okay. We got some hellos from Wisconsin. You know, I'm going to be going to Wisconsin for a comedy show. I'm going to be performing for the Dairy Farmers Association. 1,000 dairy farmers getting together, sharing tips on how to milk them. And that is not a joke. I literally am doing that private event, so I can't wait. I'm going to get a lot of jokes out of that. I guess my first joke could be like, hey, everybody, before we start the comedy show, we have a 2 milk minimum. You know, something like that. And I hope to have the crowd eating out of the palm of my hand. And maybe they can pay me some good money. I don't know. You guys got to help me with some cow jokes because that is not going to be easy. Oh, you coming to Australia anytime soon? No, I'm not going to give you the because I don't like what you guys made everybody do with the jibby jibs, getting multiple jibs. So I'm going to wait for a little while. This way you don't try to trick me into getting the jibby jab before I go home. That was a pretty good Australian accent. What do you guys think? A great Australian accent is basically British, but then Texas, because they're from the South. So you do the British and the Southern, and you've got a British Southern, and you got a little kangaroo in your mouth and a little boomerang right there. And that's how you get both of them. You do a Southern British guy, and you're right there in Australia. Pretty good in there. Good eye, mate. Someone said, Kvon, you're going to be utterly hysterical at the cow event. Thank you. Thank you. I can milk the jokes for all they're worth that night. I hope so. I like this. You know, what if I just went ahead and did the whole show tonight in Australian accent? I think that'd be a lot of fun. So let's do it. Let's talk about upcoming tour dates. You know, you could say, Kvon, that's not exactly how we sound, but I've really only been to Australia twice in my life. So I'm doing pretty good. Probably a few things I could work on, but as a whole, better than most. Probably better than most Australians doing an American accent. All right, so this is not 101 episodes. This is 102. Let's go ahead and put that right there. Booyah. We've got YouTube subscribers going down. They are not at 382,000 anymore. They went down one. Don't think that's quite right. I think somebody's messing with me. Facebook, 217,000. Instagram, 111,000. And TikTok, all the way up to 125,000. We love that because when I started TikTok not long ago, I only had very few subscribers. And now look at us go. Because one video went viral. We all know which one it was. I was making fun of Donald Trump. But in a nice way, which was allowing people on both sides to share my video. All right, that's enough Australian because I'm going to lose my fans. Guess what, folks? In this episode, we're going to make fun of Joe Biden complaining about how many women work in his cabinet. Then he's going to tell us Ohio has 2 governors now. We move right along and find out that a woman let a man into her gym while she was working out late at night, and it almost cost her her life and her virginity. And finally, we're going to show 2 comedy clips. Let's get it started and with the right show. Klaus says, Kvon, you sounded a little more like South African. Well, for me, when I do Australian, that's how I sound. I like to be right there with it, and I'm working on it. But if I do South African, it's totally different. For me, South African, I do Trevor Noah. No. Look. I didn't. No, racism is everywhere. No. Seriously. Like the racist people, like my father was racist against my mom, and then I was born. So I don't know how everyone was racist because no, because my dad had to put his winky in my mommy's pahuhu. But somehow I was born, and when I was born, I was like half black, half white, and I'm like, oh my God, there's so much racism. The mere fact that his dad was banging his mom kind of defeats the point of racism, don't you think? That means 30 years before today, your parents are going, different colors, made you, and you're like, look, there's so much racism. Look around. It's everywhere. No, it isn't, bro. If there was, you wouldn't be here. All right, nailed it. See? So when I do accents, I've got Australian, it's right down here. And then South African is like, no, look. I'm Trevor Noah. Crikey. All right. Someone says Trevor Noah is cheesy. I totally agree. But he is also worth $50 million. Being a radical leftist is a big payday. And being a normal person, funny in the middle, is considered far right. And that means we're the rebel forces. Our machinery isn't as good. Our look isn't as bold, but we are still putting little potholes in their little machinery. All right, do the British accent. All right, so if I'm going to do a British accent, it's right up here. The British people, they're not really doing too much. They're just saying, I'd like to have a spot of tea. Would you like to join me? I think it'd be great. And after that, we get some crumpets. I love crumpets. But if you're going to do Australian, there's a lot more going on down under. Down under, you get to go right there. You've got to get into the kangaroo voice. You've got to boing you with your tongue up and down. Loving the beard. Yeah, it's just growing it out. Like, why not, you know? Some people like it, some don't. I am crazy in love with you, and now I find you do a great Trevor Noah. Stop. No. Look, you can't like me and Trevor Noah, because Trevor Noah will explain to you that all white people, they are racist. They're so racist. Even my father was so racist against my mom. And of course, he banged her nonstop and made me, but they're so racist. He probably did it under racist pretexts. All right, do some Ebonics. Yeah, man, well, I'm going to tell you like this, motherfuckers. All right, we just finished Black History Month, so we might as well do some Ebonics for your bitch ass. I was talking to the director of this podcast, and he said we're going to go to a restaurant after this, and we're going to hash some things up. We're going to chop some things up and figure out what we're going to do next time. But for now, we're going to end this Ebonics here, because February is over. Shortest month of the year. Why? Because we black. Next one. Kvon, you look cute. That was a double comment. Do Will Smith. I could do a great Will Smith impression. Come closer. Come. Ha! Gotcha. Yeah, man. Welcome to Earth. Do a London Cockney accent. We're not all posh. Yes, when I do British accent, I tend to think of myself as a banker. I always thought it'd be great to be in the financial district of London. But some people in Australia, they're Cockney. These are the people that are working on the docks, or maybe they're a chimney sweep. And I don't do too much as a chimney sweep. I do just enough homes to leave a little work for my fellow men. That's not the best Cockney accent, but I've gone all around the world, okay? At this point, can I just do Indian and take a nap? Thank you very much. All right, if I'm going to do Cockney accent, I believe it's right in there. I think of Michael Caine. Michael Caine is a good actor. A lot of people... See, I just went to Australian accent. Michael Caine is a good actor. He's in those Batman movies. You know what I want to see, Bruce? One day I'd like to see you with the woman you love. And I'll see you and you'll see me, and we won't say anything to each other. All right, when's your next movie role? I don't know, whenever you give me one. Do a Persian accent. The accent in Persian, first of all, to get into character, you have to go lower with the V-neck. Hi, how are you? Welcome to my party. Please don't put drink on my BMW. Other than that, make yourself at home. Okay? And that's enough accents. Now, do a good George Bush. Well, first of all, George Bush is just happy to be there. Just tells everyone, thank you for coming. And fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you're just not going to fool me again. All right. Moving right along, folks. We can't do this all day, although it is fun. Biden has no clue how many people are in his cabinet, but he informs us that half the women in his cabinet are indeed women. Take a look.
More than half the women in my cabinet, more than half the people in my cabinet, more than half the women in my administration are women.
More than half the women in my cabinet, more than half the people in my cabinet, more than half of the women in my administration are women.
More than half the people in my cabinet, more than half the women in my cabinet, more than half the women in my cabinet are women. Now, when I first heard that, I'm like, God, he lost his place. He's an idiot. But it is very confusing because half the people in his cabinet are women. Half the women in his cabinet are women. The other half of the women in his cabinet are men. So you have to understand, he was actually trying to tell us something. Half the women in my cabinet are men. The other half the women in my cabinet are women. Some of the women in my cabinet just became men, and tomorrow they might be women again. It's a very difficult cabinet. Not a joke, man. Not a joke. Come on. You can't teach an 80-year-old about fluid genders and pronouns and expect him to be able to rattle it off when people ask, how many women are in your cabinet? Oh, that's a tough one. Half the women in my cabinet are women.
More than half the women in my cabinet, more than half the people in my cabinet, more than half of the women in my administration are women.
Ooh, what do you know? There you go, folks. Put that on your voicemail. I would love to see that. That'd be so funny if a guy's like, more than half the women I slept with are women. The other half, well, that was in Thailand. Speaking of which, I am a favorite comedian of lesbians. Did you know that? In fact, over the weekend, I was invited to perform at a lesbian wedding. And naturally, they picked me because we all had the same haircut. But more importantly, I'm an open-minded person. Everyone on the right is basically a moderate. We have our own point of view, but we don't really force it. On the left could never have, the radical left could never have a conservative come speak to them or entertain them or tell a joke. But people on the right or in the middle, they go see Lady Gaga. They go watch a U2 concert. They'll go see Madonna before they change the channel. We're exposed to all of them. They are not exposed to us. So I want to give a big shout out to this wonderful lesbian couple for picking a great comedian with a lesbian haircut. And we had so much fun. When I got to the gig, I go, what kind of jokes do you guys want? They said, we want this to be like a regular comedy night. Let it rip. Nothing is holy at this wedding. We are here to have fun. Everything is on the table. Take a look. I'm about to go do this wedding comedy show. You're saying, Kvon, comedians go to weddings? Most of them don't. They would ruin the best night of your life. I do it successfully. Take a look. Before I do any jokes, I want to let you know, I asked them ahead of time. I said, what kind of humor do you want at your wedding? And they said, everything goes. Yeah. They said even lesbian jokes are on the table. And that's where I like my lesbians, on the table. That's where everybody likes their lesbians, on the table. Now, the wedding was a lot of fun. There were people who were not lesbians there. There were straight people. There were gay people. There were bi people. There were fluid people still figuring it out. Great thing about lesbian weddings, the food was great. They had an all-you-can-eat taco bar. And I got right into those, man. I ate those tacos lickety-split. And then at the end of the night, you know, they're doing little things. And they didn't cut the cake with a knife. They used scissors. I learned a lot. Now, by the way, so folks, this is what I do. Now, I have done Afghani weddings, Indian weddings, Persian weddings, white weddings, and now lesbian weddings. So if you know a friend or family member having a wedding, all you got to do is say, bring Kvon. I will change up my act and make it fun for you. What do you think about that? We'll be back with a whole, you know what? Whenever I talk about lesbians too much, my tongue gets tied. We'll be back with more of The Right Show. Stick around and don't go anywhere. Oh, you're asking me, Kvon, what else happened in the news that we need to know about? Well, that's exactly what I do. I crunch up the news so you don't have to. You might not know this, but a train wrecked and exploded, spilling chemicals all over Ohio. Pete the butt chugger is in charge of trains and transportation, but he was too busy with another man's caboose. So he wasn't focusing on improving the railways. That's why so many people are in turmoil right now. Now, Joe Biden was asked, why didn't you even go and check out this disaster? It's a 30-minute flight from the White House. Instead, he flew to Ukraine to pal around with U2 and Zelensky and joke around and pretend they're in a war. So I want to show you what happened when the news asked Joe Biden why he has not checked on American citizens yet that need his help.
So do you plan to travel there, and have you talked with the mayor?
I can't recall whether I don't think I've talked to the mayor. I've talked to everyone else there, and multiple times. I've talked to both the senators, both governors. I've talked to everyone there is to talk to, and we've made it clear that everything is available.
Have you ever had a dream that you could do so?
Both governors.
You want
everyone there is
him to do you so much you could do anything?
Everyone there is to talk to.
That's exactly what we have to ask Joe Biden. Have you ever Now, Pete the Butt Chugger was busy with another guy. Joe Biden was off in Ukraine, and the people in Ohio are still suffering. The town is called Palestine, but when everything exploded, it did indeed look like Palestine. So that was kind of ironic. Maybe the simulation is kind of winking at us. You know, if you name your town Palestine, watch out. Now, we hope they get the funding and the care they need. But remember, Joe Biden only helps left-wing people, left-wing values, left-wing talking points. So they are on their own. Do you agree with that, or do you think it's messed up and he should help them? Put it in the comments, because he is a
who, the her.
You know, so many of you are here for the first time because I just had a video go viral where I was gently poking fun at Donald Trump in the way that the Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Ellen, Jimmy Corden should have for the last few years. So thank you, all the new people, for being here. In fact, if you want to see me live, I would love to have you. I'm going to give you some tour dates. See if you can attend any of these, okay? I'm going to be in San Jose coming up. I'm going to be in Sacramento coming up. And I'm going to be in a little place called Des Moines. If you've never heard of that, it's right there in the middle of Iowa. Now, these dates, if you're listening to the podcast, you're just going to want to get online and kind of look on www.kvon.tv. I'm not going to read all the dates. You'll find them. Des Moines, Sacramento, San Jose, Tampa, Arlington, Virginia, Reno, Nevada, Batavia, Illinois, right outside of Chicago. And finally, Boca Raton, Naples, and Vegas. That will end my tour. And then I will take a nap and do private events. And I'll only be doing lesbian weddings after that. So if you want to catch me, then you better be ready to cut a rug at a lesbian wedding. Let's see if anyone in the comments says they're going to come to one of those shows. Kvon, how about Jim Carrey that other night? I didn't watch him. I don't know what he said. Kim Perez says, I've been following you for a while, but I'm always at work. Kansas City, please bring me. Have not been invited yet. And do you know where St. Louis is? I would not go there if it's going to be dangerous. Michael says, Arlington, can't wait for the laughs. Good, I'll see you there. Let's keep the right show moving. Folks, we are ending Black History Month now. It is over. We were mostly relatively unscathed. But Black History Month, they use the whole month, and only one culture gets this, where they just get told how great they are. There's no Persian History Month. There's no Mexican History Month. There's no Irish History Month. They get a day, and everyone's drunk for it. The point is, they're constantly told how great they're kings, they're queens, they're going to the top, they're doing nothing wrong. So what I like to do is kind of show balance. Yes, there are Black individuals who do great things, but there are Black individuals who do really horrible things. So you can only be as happy for the ones that do the great things as you are depressed about those in your culture and color that do the bad things. Ideally, you wouldn't be proud of LeBron's accomplishments. It has nothing to do with you, and you would not feel guilty for what happened to this woman in the gym. This woman was attacked in the gym. She was afraid of being called a Karen from BLMers. So the Black guy knocked on the door and said, let me in the gym. She opens the door for him late at night thinking, well, it's my apartment complex. He probably lives here. I don't want to be filmed, called a Karen, called a racist. I don't want BLM getting me fired from my job. You have to open the door for any Black guy who knocks. Watch what happens when you start living according to how BLM wants you to live. You put your life and everyone's life in your family at risk.
It is the video you have to see to believe. A Hillsborough County man violently attacks a young woman in her apartment complex gym, but she is having none of it.
As soon as he was approaching me, I pushed him. I said, bro, what the F are you doing? Nashali Alma was just doing what so many people do, getting in a late-night workout at her apartment complex's gym. She saw a guy standing outside and let him in, thinking he was doing the same.
Next thing you know, I get up from doing my workout, and I grab my phone, and he just approaches me, and not a single word was exchanged.
Though the security footage is silent, what happened next was violent. The suspect, who police say is Xavier Thomas Jones, tried to grab Alma, but she said she is not someone you want to mess with.
When it was happening, I actually had no fear. I am a bodybuilder, and I'm actually pretty strong, so in my mind, he was kind of equal to me.
As the video shows, she ran to the other side of the gym, trying to call 911.
My advice would be to never give up. My parents always told me in life to never give up on anything, and that's one thing I always kept in my mind when I was fighting him.
The two ended up wrestling on the ground.
At the end of the video, you can see him getting tired, because the more fight you put, the more they want to give up and just stop.
The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office arrested Thomas Jones less than 24 hours later.
I was overwhelmed with emotion, how proud I was that this victim wasn't going to allow herself to be raped, and how hard she fought and the strength she had.
Sheriff Chad Chronister is glad Alma spoke up, and so is she.
I was assaulted, but that's not going to stop me from living. That's not going to stop who I am. That's not going to stop what I want to do in life.
So that is how we're going to conclude Black History Month, because that indeed is also in the history books. Now remember, she got very lucky. This guy was probably high. He was out of his mind. In reality, a man that size, I don't care if she's a bodybuilder, if he was of sound mind, could have done whatever he wanted. Once she opened that door in the apartment complex for a stranger who's like, hey, let me in. I'm just here to work out. Women have been shamed so much. They've been called Karens. They've been called racist. They've been called, you know, I live here. You see me every month. They don't live there. They're lying. When the cops come, they're going to call you names. Just be like, where's your key fob, bro? Where is your key fob? She got very lucky that she kind of fought a little bit, and this guy was kind of a loser at life. But how bad could that have been? Now, women, don't watch that and think, oh, I can fight off my attacker. The best way to fight off an attacker is never be in front of one in the first place. Stay safe out there. Keep your guards up and make sure you don't let BLM kind of shame you into putting yourself in a dangerous situation. As you know, The Right Show is a support group for normal people. Normal people come in all shapes, colors, and sizes, but the one thing we're not are radical leftists. That's why my comedy is so mainstream that you can be on the far left, middle, or right and still enjoy it. But at the end of the day, we are not going to subscribe to a few things that the left believes in. The left believes America's a horrible country, that the founding fathers were all racist, Christopher Columbus was a horrible colonizer, that Thanksgiving is an evil holiday, Halloween is racist and sexist, and the costumes are offensive. They believe that they hate the border, they hate the Republicans, they hate the government if they don't give them what they want, they hate the Second Amendment, but they believe they're full of love. They'll put a lawn sign. In this house, we believe science is real. Really? And your neighbor doesn't believe science is real? Your neighbor thinks he can open the door and fly to work? Just anti-gravity? No, in this house, you don't know what's going on, so you put a virtual signal sign out so you can misbehave and think you're better than everyone else. Now, with that said, we're having more fun because we're able to see the stupidity but laugh about it too. I was able at a wedding to perform, which not a lot of comedians perform at weddings. And they had these beautiful flower centerpieces, but they were on the table so you couldn't see the panel of VIP guests at the wedding. I moved the flowers to show them, and it was a lot of fun. There was an 11-year-old girl, 14-year-old, their mom, and the maid of honor, and it was very fun. Take a look. I am going to go perform at a wedding right now. We could do rated G comedy. We have a nice 11-year-old. What does mom think? PG? 13. Why do we have these flowers in the way? I want to see these beautiful faces. Here we go. There we go. Look at this. Now, by the way, did you guys know usually these centerpieces are owned by the venue, and so you're not allowed to touch them. But she made all of these centerpieces. I found out. She spent months making them, so you can steal them and nobody will come after you. So that's... Hey, you can steal those centerpieces. The venue will not come after you for the deposit. Hey, folks, that is the end of The Right Show. The reason is, starting tomorrow, I'm going to be meeting and auditioning for a comedy role with Patrick Bet David. Go look him up. Really cool guy, Iranian. We got a little bit in common. Kind of looks like my dad, and he kind of talks like one of my cousins. And so that's why I'm out here in Fort Lauderdale. We likes to party. If you enjoyed The Right Show, there's a few things you can do. Subscribe to me on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You pick your own. I'm not going to tell you where to go. If you want to make a little donation, then you can do that on paypal.me/tanksgod. The donation just helps pay for the lighting, the Wi-Fi, the better hotel. You can't do this from the Motel 6. It's not going to work. And then it also allows me to put advertisements for shows and give away a free ticket or two to someone who's like, hey, I want to come, but I lost my job, so I can't. You know what, man? We got a bunch of donations from the podcast. I'll leave you 2 tickets. See you at the show. And that's how we sold out so many shows from Dallas, Texas, to San Jose, to Irvine, Huntington Beach, and now your city next. If you don't like paypal.me/tanksgod, there's always Cash App, $Kvon Comedy, or Venmo at KVON-KVON. Final thing I'll tell you, give this podcast 5 stars. We made it past Black History Month. Whew. But guess what? We're not through it yet. It's now Women's History Month. We'll be talking about that next week. Stay safe.